Trump may very well have just landed himself in jail pending trial. Here's the quick background as to how. First, here's what the magistrate judge said to Trump at his arraignment. Quote, "I want to remind you it is a crime to intimidate a witness or retaliate against anyone for providing information about your case to the prosecution or otherwise obstruct justice. Do you understand these warnings, sir?" At which point Trump nodded yes. Now, within 24 hours, Trump posted onto Truth Social, "If you go after me, I'm coming after you." So immediately, Jack Smith requested a protective order that would prevent Trump from disseminating discovery materials to the public, and invoked Trump's post in that order. Smith was basically saying, Trump does not think rules apply to him, you told him not to intimidate or retaliate, and he did exactly that within 24 hours, so knowing what we know about this guy, we think a protective order is necessary because he will post about what he learns in discovery. The judge just gave Trump until Monday at 5 p.m. to respond to that. Trump's lawyers requested an extension, and the judge denied that extension. Off to a pretty bad start as far as Trump is concerned. But here's where things took a nosedive for him, because today, Trump then took to Truth Social again, this time writing, "Wow, it's finally happened. Little Mike Pence, a man who was about to be ousted as governor of Indiana until I came along and made him VP, has gone to the dark side. I never told a newly emboldened, not based on his 2% poll numbers, Pence to put me above the Constitution or that Mike was, quote, too honest. He's delusional and now he wants to show he's a tough guy." But here's where Trump really screwed up. This is a direct response to the indictment, which said that Trump told Pence, "You're too honest," because the vice president objected to blocking Biden's win. In other words, Pence's testimony was used against Donald Trump, and Trump decided to log on to Truth Social and retaliate against Mike Pence for providing information about his case to the prosecution. And now might be a good time to reiterate the terms of Trump's release. Quote, "It is a crime to intimidate a witness or retaliate against anyone for providing information about your case to the prosecution." You see how things just went from bad to worse for Trump? Consider too, when Trump issued his first threat, "If you go after me, I'm coming after you," his campaign immediately issued a statement saying, quote, "The Truth Post cited as the definition of political speech and was in response to the rhino, China-loving, dishonest special interest groups and super PACs like the ones funded by the Koch brothers and the Club for No Growth." Why issue that? Because they needed plausible deniability that Trump wasn't threatening a prosecutor or a judge or a witness in the case. Otherwise, it would have been clear that he was violating the terms of his release. And it's important that he doesn't, because he doesn't want to be sanctioned or even locked up pending trial. But this time is different. Again, the Trump Post expressly refers to Pence's testimony in this trial, in the indictment. Trump's attorneys won't be able to issue some bogus statement claiming that this is about the election because Trump specifically referred to the indictment, meaning that there's no way for Trump's team to protect him here. And look, Jack Smith gave Trump a freebie with the first one. Trump had clearly violated the terms of his release when he issued his blanket threat, "If you go after me, I'm coming after you." But Jack Smith just used it as evidence that Trump is physically incapable of not vomiting out what he learns, and what he will soon learn in discovery. But the attacks on Pence is different. Trump invoked Pence's words in the indictment, showing that it's clear retaliation for cooperating and leaving himself no plausible deniability in doing so. So here's what should happen. Jack Smith, or even the judge herself, should have what's called a show cause hearing. Here's former federal prosecutor Glenn Kirshner discussing exactly that in our most recent episode of The Legal Breakdown.
So he would file a motion asking the judge to set what's called a show cause hearing. That means when the prosecutor believes a defendant may have violated conditions of release, we, the prosecutors, will ask the judge to force the defendant to show cause, why he didn't violate the conditions of release, and why he shouldn't be punished, sanctioned. And of course, the ultimate sanction is being stepped back. That is a term of art for being remanded to custody, being ordered detained pending trial.
In other words, if Trump just bought himself a show cause hearing, this is basically his chance to plead his case now that he's been credibly accused of violating the terms of his release. And look, is it likely that Trump will be held in pretrial detention? Of course not. Of course that'll be a last resort. But here's the thing. If it's going to happen, this is how it happens. Trump is doing exactly what he needs to do to get there. And let's be clear, he's doing it because he has no concept of accountability. That's why we're here in the first place. This guy is a lifelong con man who doesn't believe that any rules apply to him. And as many times as Susan Collins tries to will this idea into existence that Donald Trump will learn his lesson this time, he will never learn his lesson. He will keep committing crimes. He will keep obstructing justice. He will keep intimidating witnesses. He will keep retaliating against people who assist in his prosecution. It will literally never stop. Which, by the way, is why it is so dangerous that Trump was allowed to roam free, unindicted, for the last few years. It was that very lack of accountability that emboldened him to the extent that it has. Everyone's been so worried that any prosecution of Trump might look political, might have bad optics, that they've overlooked the fact that they have allowed an abject criminal to walk free. Even in the immediate wake of appearing in the courtroom, still Trump can't be bothered to even follow the terms of his own release, breaking them not once but twice in 2 days. So maybe instead of worrying about the optics of holding a criminal accountable because he just so happens to be a politician, we recognize the fact that this is someone who has nothing but open disdain for the rule of law, and every moment he's allowed to walk free makes the entire country a more dangerous place. And by the way, because I think it's worth discussing, here's what will happen in the event that Trump is found to have violated the terms of his release and is ordered by Judge Hutkin to be remanded into custody.
Once somebody is ordered detained pending trial, they almost invariably remain detained pending trial because there are no changes in circumstances, right? Once you have shown that you are unwilling or unable to abide by the conditions of release set by the court, if you violate them, you don't typically just go in for a day or a week or a month. You are detained pending trial. That's what the law provides. If there's clear and convincing evidence that you're a danger to the community, that you're a flight risk, or that you're unwilling or unable to abide by conditions of release, you're detained for the duration until that jury is selected, your case is tried, and a verdict is reached. You know, I have had defendants in pretrial detention for literally 1, 2, sometimes 3 years. Now, let me hasten to add, Brian, we always tried to give people a speedy trial, often once they were detained pending trial. An example for a murder case, because it was clear that they were a danger to the community. It was often the defense that would insist on continuance after continuance after continuance to the detriment of their client. But yeah, they remain pending trial until the conclusion of their case.
Yeah, that would be pretty tricky for Trump's team, considering their biggest tactic here that they're happy to apply is to delay. And so if they're delaying this thing and he's held pending trial and they keep trying to push this thing out until some indeterminate point in the future, it's not exactly going to help their client. So look, while some type of pretrial detention is of course unlikely, the case I'm making here is that it is a given that Trump will continue to violate every order that he's given. Again, we already know who this guy is. And for those who don't know or want to give him benefit of the doubt, all you have to do is look at the fact that he's already violated his terms of release twice in just 2 days. He will not change, he will not follow the law, he will not comply. Remanding him to custody is the natural conclusion of somebody's refusal to follow the law. So we'll see if such a step is ever taken, but let's not pretend for a moment that it wouldn't be justified.